Appreciate you
Man,
doing this, Ham. Appreciate you doing
man, they need to hear this.
this. You know what I'm saying? You like that he did. It's hilarious. Just rub your forehead when I'm ready to introduce.
Hey, man, we live, man, on the scene, man. Um, was gonna put a topic on here, but this is we don't even need a topic, man. This is 94 feet of life coming from the scene. I got my boy MJ, man. Dropping the J, man. I'm dropping the J because fadeaway is perfect, man. When the black hoodie is on, man, it's history lessons that need to be taught around here, man. I got on the all black, he got on the all black, man. It's time to put this to bed, man. MJ, let these people know what's up.
Yo, 94 Feet of Life, man. This show is brought to you by Bar U Academy. It is also brought to you by Ham's Homemade Cookies, by the damn cookies. It's just time that we take a trip down memory lane because for whatever reason, basketball fans have the worst memory in the history of memories. So let's go ahead and start off with the Milwaukee and Miami series. 94 Feet of Life, the scene, we called this. I mean, film over feelings. We already said this is what's going to happen. We also said it's a really good chance Giannis is going to leave somewhere. Now they're throwing all of these names like Miami, Toronto. I still think it's Golden State. I remember they was throwing all sorts of different names out for KD during that time, and he ended up going to Golden State. So I still wouldn't be shocked if he goes to Golden State. Neither here nor there. Right now, we are about to talk about the process of greatness and how it does not skip anybody. It doesn't skip steps for anybody. Everybody that you are a fan of right now, all of your goats in training, all of your baby lambs, all of them had to go through the process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name every top five current player in the league, and I'm going to tell you what process they had to go through. And then I'm going to go back in history and tell you the process they had to go through. But before I do that, I'm going to pass this over to Trav, and I'm going to ask him a live question. In order for you to become great, what is it that you think that a great player in this NBA needs?
To be honest, in order to be great, to start the process of being great, or
No,
to
you can
start
ask whatever you want, man.
to start in the process of being great, you got to go through that road. You got to go through that rocky road. You got to get your ass kicked. Excuse my language. Got to get
Talk.
your butt kicked. My mom got on me, so I got to clean it up a little bit. But you gotta, uh, you gotta go through that. You gotta go through that rough road. I mean, it kind of started with Mike
Hmm.
Jordan. He was getting MVPs. He actually got the MVP and the defensive player MVP, just like one Giannis. He went through that and still had to learn that you gotta get knocked down to get back up. So that's one of the processes. Now, in order to be great, as far as just playing, you are the person to spearhead the team to make not others be better, but to give them the opportunity give them the opportunity to be better. And the opportunity meaning instead of a person being to you 1 or 2 feet, they're away from you 4 or 5 feet because you're drawing their interest of the
Hmm.
defenders.
Okay.
And that's giving them a better opportunity to make shots, that confidence, that belief that they can do it.
Hmm.
Yet you still shouldering that load to want to be that great player. So those are the main two things that I see.
Okay.
You got to go through that road and give those players the better opportunity. That's where that greatness comes in.
All right, so this is what we're going to do, Trav. I'm going to let you talk to our advanced students, and I'm going to talk to our beginner to intermediate students by making things a little bit more simple.
Okay,
So,
okay.
just in case, I want to share this to some of my people who learned in the game or whatever. We not going to disclude you guys either, because I have heard that sometimes we talk on a level in which it's hard to follow us because some people are still trying to learn the game. So this is how I'm going to break this down for y'all. You need, let's just start off with three things. I always like to live by rules of three. You need three things to be great. You need skill, you need will, and you need IQ. All right. Every player that you have seen in this NBA has went through this process because one of these three have gotten challenged. And they gotten challenged to the point where they wasn't ready to step up to the challenge until they got it. So you talked about Jordan. Okay, we can talk about Jordan. Jordan always had the skill. He always had the will. But when they put those Jordan rules on him, he did not have the IQ to be able to quickly process how they was guarding him and trust his teammates. So what needed to happen? They need to bring in another coach, right?
That's a fact.
Not even another coach. They brought in another coaching staff. So this
All
is
right.
something else I'm going to teach for the people. Do y'all know that most coaching staffs, or just the team that's built around those 15 players that we love to watch, do y'all know how many people are involved in that? Do y'all have any idea? If you want, go ahead and Google the coaching staff roster of any of your championship teams and see how many names were listed. So it's important that I say coaching staff, because if I just say coach, y'all gonna give all the credit to Phil, when Tex Winters actually created the system that we all know and love, the triangle.
Preach.
So I'm not going to just say the coach, the coaching staff. You need people behind you and people around you to be able to take your gifts, maximize your gifts, and be able to teach you how to counter whatever type of defense they give you. Now, let's fast forward to today's game. Let's fast forward to, some of y'all favorites. Okay, LeBron James, sure. LeBron James didn't get a chance to go to college. He didn't get a chance to, have elite coaching staff. If anything, he was so gifted to where it was a lot of things he was able to figure out on his own. Bring in Dallas Mavericks in 2011. They threw a matchup zone in that he just could not figure out. He had the skill. At this point, some people would question his will, but it was never about will. It was just that LeBron was always a cerebral player. So when you put something on him that he's not used to seeing, he is processing that information to see how he can beat it. He's not going to just go out there and just run through a brick wall 20 times. He's going to look at the brick wall and be like, okay, what do we need to knock this brick wall down? It's just a different mentality. And it's not wrong, but it's different. So, your favorite player, skill, will, IQ. Let's talk about Kawhi Leonard. Oh, Kawhi don't got anything to talk about. Kawhi, he doesn't. Y'all remember when he was hurt and y'all thought he was playing? And even the great Greg Popovich challenged him on his leadership ability and why he wasn't there and why he was seeing all of these specialists. Is his will not challenged at this moment? To the point where he actually had to get traded to Toronto, in which they traded him thinking that it was just going to be a dead end. And what did he end up doing? He ended up winning a championship and leaving on his own terms and going to the place that he wanted to go to. But let's not get it twisted. His will was questioned. Let's not get it twisted. He had to learn how to win in 2013 when the Spurs had them up and ended up losing that heartbreaker in game 6 and then lost another close one in game 7. He had to go through that process too. He was just a little bit younger than most people, but that's what happens when you already have, wait for it, that's what happens when you already have a great coaching staff and team already built around you. Kawhi was able to go into that position and slowly but surely grow into what he is now without any pressure. The pressure was on the big three. The pressure was never on Kawhi. That's the part that people missing. So because there wasn't no pressure on him, most people don't think that he had to go through anything and he's just a winner. Oh no, he went through it. It's just we didn't put pressure on him until he got injured. Then that's when this whole load management thing started talking. That's when this whole do he really want to be in San Antonio? That's when all of that adversity started coming in. Then they trade him. And then he still was missing games. And then they still like, is he even going to be ready? He keeps missing games. We questioning his heart. Why is he low managing his people who are paying good money to want to see him win a chip? Same thing happened in the Clippers. See, before all this bubble stuff happened and all this quarantine stuff happened, y'all was questioning Kawhi this year too.
Sure was. Sure
Y'all was
was.
questioning. Now
Sure
everybody
was.
loves him. Everybody loves him now because he's putting up 30 and he's doing things that reminiscent of your GOAT in the 90s was doing. Everybody loves him now.
The golden 90s and the golden thousands.
Yeah. So let's not get it twisted. Y'all challenged him too. Y'all questioned him too. Which brings me to Giannis. If Jordan had the Jordan rules, Giannis has the wall. Right now, he is not skilled enough. And he does not have the coaching staff around him to put him in positions to make his life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And when you only got one out of the three, all you got is will right now. When you only got one out of the three, you're going to get your butt kicked.
Hey, MJ, I'm going to tell you something, man. That is true. Those 2 points that you talked about, Giannis, is true. I seen something last night. I was like, wow, why wouldn't they do this more often? Giannis caught the ball at the circle, top of the circle, like inside the circle. It was number 90, 98, 99 was guarding him. You had somebody on the left, somebody on the American white sniper on the left, American white sniper on the right, Jimmy Butler on the right block, Bam was on the left block. Giannis caught the ball. They was ready for that 3-2 wall to come in. But what happened was Divincenzo, the guy from
Demon.
Villanova, Divincenzo,
Yep.
I can't never say his name right. He came from the corner and made a cut right behind Tyler Hero and Bam face, caught the ball and dunked it. Notice when when Giannis catch that ball, them players don't move without their ball either. They do not move without their ball. So it makes that wall so much easier to use because they know he finna go left, spin right, rack.
Now,
But keep going.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because now it goes back to my people. You talk on the level to my advanced people. Let me talk to the basic people. This is the first rule in basketball when you do not have the ball. It is a rule that a lot of people do not know about. Anytime you see the defender's side or the back of his head, you automatically cut to the basket. Every time. This is the reason why you see professionals not doing that. You see professionals not doing that mainly because they are listed as a shooter or they are listed as a role player in which they are supposed to stay in the corner for optimal spacing. So because they're staying in the corner for spacing purposes, it looks like they're just standing still. If they are allowed to just be hoopers, that cut is there every time. Every time. And then this is what happens. You cut enough and you get enough layups, eventually the help side going to have his head on the swivel. All Giannis needs is for a dude to just do that. By then, he's dunking. Soon as he check, he's in the air already. He's that good. And when I say that he's not skilled, please forgive me on that. He's skilled, but he's more dominant. His game is more based on dominance. It's more based on his freakish athletic ability. It's based on his length. It's based on his quickness at his sides. It's based on those things. So he does have skill. You can't average what he averaging without skill. But because he has these great athletic gifts, because he won the genetic lottery, Usually guys who win the genetic lottery do not need many skills to complement their athletic ability. Once Jordan got his pull-up and his fadeaway, that's all he needed. Because you had to sit on those two things or he's going to go around you and dunk on the whole team. Giannis has yet to find his pull-up, his fadeaway, his fall away, or any go-to move that he has that is allowing him to shoot between 3 to 10 feet comfortably. He don't have that yet. He will get it. Right now, he doesn't have that. But why doesn't he have that? Because his coaching staff is hell-bent on making sure that he gets a piece of the paint every time so he can give it to his shooters so that they can shoot it. And if his shooters are making it, it looks great because now you can't help as close as you want, which gives him the room to be able to attack and finish. Basic basketball. What happens in this playoffs, though, we look at film. We look at this. We be like, you know what? Every time he do this spin move, he's going to jump in the air and pass it. Every time he drives, he's jumping in the air before he's passing it. How about we stay home until he jump in the air and then close out so the shooters won't have a shot? This is why the playoffs is so real. This is why you need IQ and you need a coaching staff built around him to be like, look, I know you're good at this. You're great at this. I get it. We're going to have to get back to the basics on this, though. It's a guy over there in Dallas by the name of Luka Doncic, who when he drives and gets cut off, he stops, gathers himself, throws a shot fake up, has up and under, has the reverse pivot. And if you don't fall for any of that, he is on balance to make a good pass and reset and start it over. If you're in the air, you got 2 seconds to figure it out. And that's if you are a premier athlete. You really got like 4/10 of a second to figure it out.
Man, let me give my guy Jackie Robinson, aka Big Shot.
Yes, sir.
What's going on?
Big Shot. Talk to us about what's going on historically with the Milwaukee Bucks and why we call this, yet at the same time using history to bag our stuff up.
I think, go ahead.
Yeah, it's on you.
Well, I think sometimes you get sometimes there are certain teams, it's a bad matchup. And you can look at the Bucks regular season record. It's great. But like 2009 with Cleveland, Orlando was the worst matchup Cleveland could have got in that East Final. Toronto last year was a terrible matchup for Milwaukee. You can have great regular season because you're getting a different opponent every night, which to MJ's point, and the point I'm sure that a lot of people have been making, where's the adjustment? You don't have to adjust when it's a different person every night. But now, Miami has the personnel, number one. A lot of people don't have the personnel to do what they're doing, but they get to study only you. So that Giannis spin that MJ talked about, we've seen that on tape 25 times this week. We know Wesley Matthews is going to be in one of these corners. We know Brooke Lopez, 80% of the time on any type of screen action, is not going to roll to the hoop. So we've seen everything that you do 100 times. We got the personnel to stop it. So you get a bad matchup and team just prepared. So I am surprised. I didn't see them getting 3-0. That I didn't see. I figured 3-2 or 4-2. So I am surprised that they might be getting that luggage. But this is classic case. Bad matchup with a whole bunch of time to prepare.
No, I agree. And the main thing about that is not just with the bad adjustment the whole time to prepare. Everybody goes through this process. Right now, in every sense of the word, Giannis is getting beat. Right now, his team is getting outcoached. his supporting cast is getting beat by the people that Miami got supporting cast. He's getting outsmarted because he is yet to have a plan B because nobody told him he needed a plan B. Everybody's just so infatuated with his athletic ability that they feel like he'll just figure it out on the fly when you have to coach up athletic ability just like you coach up everything. So as you get to this point, what you got to do is you have to understand that it is a process. So while everybody is killing Giannis and everybody is really jumping down his throat saying that he's not it. Well, he an MVP and a defensive player of the year. Yes, he is. And even an MVP and a defensive player of the year needs a good, strong supporting cast and a good coaching staff. You still need that. Nobody has won without a great coaching staff and without a great supporting cast. You have one or the other. Please tell me where it happened. How many coaches have you seen win in this NBA which is like, you know what, he just can't coach? How many times you said that?
It's crazy, man. It's
now,
crazy.
I'm not going to stay on Giannis because like I stated, you know, we're talking about the whole process for everybody. So there's another guy that's going through a process as we go through all these playoffs. His name is Pascal Siakam.
Tito!
Here's the difference between Pascal Siakam's process and Giannis's process. Pascal Siakam has a coach who is going to throw a book at whatever he has to throw to get the win. He don't care if he wins by 1. He don't care if he wins by 100. He's going to throw the book at it. And to be real, Toronto should be 3-0-2. They should be 30 right now. But because you had a coach who was mixing up defenses the whole time, who mixed up his offenses a little bit and took a little pressure off Pascal by relying on his backcourt to be more of a scorer and just let Pascal do his roaming thing like he's used to doing, going back to the basics with Pascal. And they did all of that. They were able to have Pascal focus on Jason Tatum more defensively since he wasn't needed on offense more. And Jason Tatum only scored 15 points. All of that happened, and it still took Kyle Lowry to throw a pass over a 7'6" dude perfectly to OG, who had to hit the shot in 0.5 tenths of a second. But that's the difference between having a coaching staff that is so locked in on winning to where they don't care how they have to win versus somebody who is hell-bent on this system works, we will get through it, we will figure it out. And I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. It just depends on personnel. If you have a team that's really like that, you can afford to coach that way. I didn't see Phil Jackson make a lot of adjustments with the Bulls or even the Lakers when they had Kobe and Shaq. I didn't see a lot of adjustments during those tenures. I saw a lot of them when, you know, it was Kobe and Pau Gasol because it was different personnel. You know, you had Lamar Odom, who was more of a European style big. Pau was a European style big. So he had to incorporate more pick and roll. For those who actually, you know, can go back in the history and watch the tape. You can pull the tape up if you want. But he had to make an adjustment because he had to. But most coaches, you know, they know what they want to do, and it's a matter of if they make or miss the shot. And when you have it that way, you know, you're going to get exposed if somebody has your number and your team is just not good enough to overcome it. So right now, Pascal is going through the stage of learning how to be a number one option. But let's go back to the 3 things you need to be great. You need skill, you need will, and you need IQ. We are learning that his skill has developed, but he doesn't do one thing really well to be able to rely on. He has the will. He's working really hard out there. His coach has the IQ, but he may not be right now skilled enough to be able to take what the game is giving him. Because right now, I've seen him on many occasions get played to the left, and he refused to shoot that left-hand jump hook. He refused. And his shot keeps getting blocked. Like I said, we're talking basketball here. We see everything. We don't miss anything. So I'm going to bring this over to Ham because I know Ham just joined, man. Ham, talk to us, man. What up, man? What you think? Price of greatness, man.
Ham was on. He had to jump off of some technical difficulties, but
I'll say this for Pascal. MJ, and you work with kids and develop and train. What people don't, I'm gonna say a lot of people don't get. This is just a young man who's gone from G League to role player to pretty good second option to all-star, and now it's almost making the next jump to Hall of Fame level talent. That is an unbelievably steep climb to ask somebody to make. And
3 years.
right, and it is tough to do that. Like that is just not like this ain't 2K where you just add some virtual points on and dude becomes a monster the next season. Like that this ain't how this works. And so I think his process, unlike Giannis, it's a case of maybe that is his ceiling. Maybe his ceiling just is, I am really, really, really good. And that's cool because him not becoming a Kawhi, I mean, Kawhi is a Hall of Fame player. If he doesn't become a Hall of Fame player, okay, that's 99.99% of the league. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's just learning that life in that first chair is hard. Same thing Kawhi learned. Life in that first chair is tough. Like the responsibility that you have is unbelievable. And so I'm not too worried about Pascal, but talking about Giannis, I would love to see Giannis with them. You put Giannis with Nick Nurse and the creative things that they can do with the personnel that they already have. I know we talked about Giannis to the Warriors. I think Toronto, other than Golden State, would be the next best option.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not left yet. But to me, if you're going to do the whole Giannis leaving conversation, that would be kind of fly to me.
Oh yeah, because right now Giannis is missing the coaching staff to teach him the IQ portion of the game. He's skilled enough. He has the will. You just need the coach. He needs to be coached up to be like, oh, okay, look, I need you to make plays while you're on the ground. If you're going to be the primary driver and kicker, you need to make these plays on the ground. You see how Luka's doing this? I'm not telling you to be like Luka, but I'm telling you not to leave your feet when you make these passes. You got to have a plan when you're driving. You got to know what's in front of you. There's only so many defenses they can throw at you. They're throwing a wall at you. You should be able to go strong, stop, find who you're looking for. If they ain't got ready for a shot, maybe repost or go get it again, get a nice seal for a rebound. You have to do these small things because these are the things that separates winning from losing. But if you don't have a coaching staff that is pushing those things, then you're not going to be able to maximize your talent. That's why skill, will, and IQ is needed because you're not winning a championship if you're missing one of those. If you miss one of those, you ain't winning. If you get questioned on one of those, you ain't winning the championship. If I just got to ask the question, you're not going to win.
Let me ask you something, Trav, because you a Spurs fan. MJ, you train people. This is a question for both of y'all.
Okay.
Now, we love the versatility of 2020 basketball, right?
Yeah.
But Giannis, purely on body type, to me, is more Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett than he is Kevin Durant, Scottie Pippen. Is it even wise for a dude that, he got the long stride, etc., but with his body type, is it even wise for him to be playing at the top of the key so much? Would it be better if you moved him to the wing, or dare I say, the low post, where his actual height and length might be actually to an advantage rather than trying to make him mega point guard?
Big Shot. We talked about this We talked about this a little bit ago. And if you putting him on a block, he's within a 3 to 10 foot range. One thing Giannis haven't mastered is the 3 to 10 foot range. If you talking about Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, they were that was their wheelhouse, the 3 to 10 foot range, not just only in the paint, but on the block. Giannis has to get that involved in his game, that mid range 3 to 10 feet. He don't have to necessarily dunk everything. He don't
And I'm
necessarily have to dunk everything. Go
great.
ahead.
No, great point, Trav, and great point, Big Shot. I like where you're going with this Big Shot, but I'm going to go ahead and tailor the person that I think he should be actually looking at. Kevin Durant and Tim Duncan were extremely skilled and on balance all the time. I actually will look at him and say I think he should be looking at a prime Amari Stoudemire. It was one play in which I almost pulled my hair out because you always ask that question when you see certain things done, like why don't they just do that every time? It was a wing screen and roll with George Hill and Giannis setting. Giannis set it on the wing. George Hill came around, set a bounce pass to Giannis. Giannis dunked it. It was the easiest 2 points I've ever seen in the history of his career. The easiest. It took no energy at all. Like he's done some freakish things that he made things that are not easy look easy. This was literally easy in every sense of the word. Now, George Hill, solid point guard. Probably wouldn't put him in your top tier, right? You
Right.
wouldn't. Nobody will put him in the top tier. No offense.
Right. You're
He's a
not.
very solid veteran. But if he is able to make that play with Giannis, because Giannis is so wide when he sets his screen and so long when he rolls out, pause, and hands are so good to where you could throw him a bounce pass. First off, think about how amazing that is. You could throw a 6'10" dude a bounce pass and he's going to go get it. So now, his catching range is everywhere. So you could throw it anywhere. He's going to get it. Lob, high, low, he's going to get it. So you got this dude with great hands. You have this dude that's long as hell. You have this dude that finishes everything around the basket. And the pick and roll, as of right now, we have seen, not since Stockton and Malone, it still ain't been stopped. There is no defense for it. So my question is, why isn't he setting more screens and rolling to the basket? If Amari Stoudemire could average, this was before he developed his jump shot too, by the way. Amari Stoudemire was averaging a cool 26 and 13 just off of setting screens and rolling to the basket.
MJ,
Imagine what Giannis can do if he did that.
MJ, I experienced and seen that Amari Stoudemire kick Tim Duncan's tail
He had 51 games.
off of that alone. Because the thing about it is you have to use Giannis' athletic ability as to your advantage. The same way the Suns did with Steve Nash and Amari. One thing about Amari never stood still. He never got the ball and stood still. He was setting the screen. He was rolling to the basket. If he got the ball at that 3 to 10 foot radius of the basket, he either jabbed and went over, laid it up, or then that's where Giannis is at an advantage where he can go left and spin right. Because now that wall is not set and you're one-on-one with the MVP. You're right there. You boom. Everything is on the go. When Giannis is getting his ball and he have to study where these folks is at, he's at a disadvantage to the Miami Heat because you got 5 set of eyes looking at you, gauging where you going. Your players are not moving. You stuck.
You remember, and I'm going to pass this to Ronnie. In fact, I'm going to ask this question, Ronnie. You remember when Memphis at OKC was playing and they was just really focused on putting KD on the block, but then when they realized they put him at the top of the key, it wasn't nothing Memphis could do? Yep. It's literally the exact opposite. They so focused on putting Giannis at the top, when in actuality, if you just put him as the main screener on your screen and roll, you already got the shooter spread it anyway. There is no answer for that. Either you're going to give up an open three, or you're going to give up Giannis getting the ball within 3 to 10 feet with no dribbles. Meaning he has a dribble now. There ain't nothing you doing with that.
And to me, Giannis does a lot of things that are great. And he's not a terrible ball handler by any means.
No.
But that's not his biggest strength. The biggest strength of him is the finishing. It's using that athleticism, that height. To me, when you put him at the top of the floor, you're making him small.
Mm.
Now you got him at 6'11", he's playing 6'5". Move him around the court. Put him on the baseline. Put him in that mid post. But I do the quick run. So maybe he doesn't have, that quintessential 3 to 10 foot game. But if you get it to him in different areas of the floor, he becomes hard to check because we don't know where he's going to be.
That sounds a lot like what number 23 went through when he had Doug Collins until they gave him Phil Jackson. In fact, Isaiah Thomas even attests to that. He said when Doug Collins had him, it was easy to guard because we knew he was going to have the ball at the top of the key or he was going to have the ball in the wing.
Mm-hmm.
When Phil got him, he was everywhere. We didn't know where he was at.
I think Giannis is, I don't want to say he's in that Paul George stage of the dark place, but he's, the way they're setting him up, he's playing that way. Because like Big Shot said, you don't want to make Giannis a 6'10", 6'11" player play like he's 6'3". That's what Paul George was doing when he was in that black place. He was playing like he's 6'8", but he's playing like he's 6'3". If you're 6'7" and 6'8", you need to play like you 6'7" and 6'8". If you got a special set of skills, you use that as your tool. But you always stay 6'7", 6'8". Giannis is 6'10", 6'11", whatever you want to call it. You're making him play like he's 6'3" by putting him up, because Giannis can control the ball, but you don't want him controlling the ball at the most. One dribble spin to the rack. That was Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah.
One dribble, get there, boom. Get the ball, pivot, boom. Everything was a read and react. It was a read and react. Read and react. That's how you were getting 26 and 13. And he couldn't even shoot then. Amari couldn't even shoot then. Nash was putting the ball where he needed to be at. It was a reaction. Get up to the goal as quick as possible, punch it. That's why I think Giannis got to do.
And it's not even just about Giannis. It's literally about the personnel that you have. As a coach, you have to play the hand that you're dealt, not the hand that you wish you were dealt. Like, Eric Bledsoe is an athletic freak of nature. Why are we not running pick and rolls with him and Giannis? Why haven't I seen Eric Bledsoe come off the screen and turn the corner against a 7-foot guy? Why haven't I seen Eric Bledsoe turn the corner? Now, unfortunately, you got to help off Giannis, and he throws a lob to Giannis and dunks it. Or he gets double teamed. He finds Giannis in the middle of the floor, which is where you wanted him to be in the first place. But now, instead of the middle being the top of the key, the middle is the free throw line, in which now Giannis don't have to jump and make a pass or have to dribble 2 times and spin move to create a play for a shooter. Now he can just catch it a la Tim Duncan in the Spurs, hit your corner.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
All this stuff we saying, we have put into the, I hope that we put to the minds that as much as we would like to see Giannis go, how many guards want to go to Milwaukee?
I mean, we know the answer to this.
That's for the people. That's for the people. That's for the people.
And I'm going to be real with you. There is a certain medicine in the NBA in which anything is possible once you take this medicine. And that medicine is called the Larry O'Brien Trophy. How many people wanted to go to Toronto? until they won. Got double
Nobody.
tax. Got double tax. You're not in the country. Nobody was thinking about no damn Toronto. Shoot, Kawhi won one and still left because he didn't want to deal with that. But now, because they actually got a championship and they see that even though Kawhi left, they're still extremely competitive. Now free agents is looking like, you know what? I could go to the Carabana a few times a year.
But it takes that sacrifice to show. Who want to take that chance? Which guard wants to take that chance to make that guy, the Greek freak, stay? To make him believe and to make that team believe they actually have a legit run to get that medicine.
And I'm about to.
Here's the better question. Here's the better question, Trav. I don't even think it's about what guard want to go. Because I think there are a ton of guards who would love to play with Giannis. The question is going to be, are you willing to change the system to fit a star? So, for instance, if a Kemba Walker was available in free agency, are you willing to change your system to fit what Kemba Walker does well? Are you willing to change your system if in fantasy world a Damian Lillard was available? I think this series is going to prove that Mike Budenholzer either is going to have to make a serious adjustment to his style, or unfortunately, despite all the wins, you might not be the coach to get us to the next spot.
And with Coach Budenholzer, we have a lot of coaches that are really good at being in tier B. Like, you got to think, let's not take any credit away from Budenholzer. Budenholzer had Atlanta winning 60 wins with that same system. So it's not that the system does not work. It's just that the system is only going to get you so far. It's ironic because it's a very similar system to what D'Antoni has ran, in which sometimes he's been the coach of the year, and sometimes we looked and be like, how can you not use a player like Carmelo Anthony or Pau Gasol? It's the same system, though. It makes you laugh and it makes you cry. And when you live and die with anything, that's what's going to be the result. Like I stated, the Triangle won, 11 championships? He brought it to New York during the evolution of the game. He had to cry with that system.
That he done.
So let's go ahead and move over to the Western Conference. We ain't gonna take long on this one. This is kind of simple.
Right.
We'll start with the game last night, Houston, LA. We called this too. We said when Houston win, they're gonna blow out LA in game one, and people are going to actually squint their eyes and have a bad slice of pizza and say, you know what, they can win. And in retrospect, they could win. I mean, anybody could win, but it's very simple. And I don't know what it is about Anthony Davis. I'm going to pass this over to Big Shot. I don't know what it is about Anthony Davis and LeBron. It's almost like they give up the first. It's like if they're a boxer that automatically just gives up the first round without even trying. Because we've seen this happen so many times, even in the bubble. We'll see Anthony Davis come out and only take 13 shots. And then the next game, he'll take 20 shots and a half. And they will fucking win. Like, we've seen this happen way too many times. So we've seen LeBron do it. We've seen LeBron have a cool 17, 12, and 11. And they lose. And then he comes right back. Now he got 29, 12, and 11. And then they win by 18, and they play better defense. Like, I just refuse to like that Anthony Davis and LeBron James, when they're aggressive, is going to get beat by anybody but the exception of the Clippers. And that's because the Clippers have people who can be able to withhold that. And even with the Clippers, I'm looking at with a side eye because I'm like, y'all gonna need Paul George against the Lakers. And I don't know if I trust him. So, Big Shot, what you got?
I think the Lakers almost like Mayweather. You know how you see Mayweather fight?
Yeah.
First two rounds,
after 3 rounds, you like, dang, Miguel Cotto up 2 rounds to 1 on Mayweather. And then about the 6th, 7th round, you like, yeah,
it's over.
Mayweather got it. I think that's a perfect analogy. I think the reason people are on Houston is Harden and Westbrook. I think we all feel like James Harden and Russell Westbrook had that one game where they just both go nuts. And they get like 75, 13, and 20 combined. Or Houston had that one night where they make 22 threes. But I still think LA in 6. Because I think, again, I just don't see another team that's going to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis 4 out of 7. That's not named the Clippers. And so we'll see what game 2 looks like. But same thing I said in the other series. Game 1 overreactions. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
And 94 feet of life been good about that. I think the Portland one they learned after Portland because Portland everybody was on LeBron's head.
Right.
They was on the Lakers' head after that Portland game. Now I'm starting to see more analysis towards it. Now they're talking about why Houston won, and I don't mind that at all. And they're talking about why Houston could win the series. That is great. I will take that any day of the week. But as far as the how they about to get swept and look,
pump your brakes. Pump your brakes.
Now, what I will give Houston, this is why I give Houston more of a nod than Portland. And we can say whatever we want to about the D'Antoni system, James Harden, etc. They have played unbelievable defense.
Oh yeah,
in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if what fired they put under James Harden.
It's that defensive coach. They got like a defensive assistant. Houston is the only team that has like a defensive assistant coach. Like that Tony works the offense. They got a dude, I can't think of his name, big tall black guy. He's like the defensive coordinator of the Houston Rockets.
Whatever he is saying is working.
Yes.
Despite the fact that they don't have size, they playing incredible defense, and they're not getting smashed on the glass like I thought they would.
Right. You know what, Big Shot? Like both of y'all done said, game 2, game 1 ended, I was talking to Germ last night, and I told Germ, I said, game 2, you gonna see Anthony Davis involved in everything. He's gonna be in screen and roll actions. He's gonna be on off-ball screen actions. He's gonna be in everything. We have seen this movie before. Think it's gonna change? Nope.
Hey,
It's gonna go
I'm gonna go with MJ because MJ said, "Hey, what he wants to see." I'll tell you what I want to see. I want Houston to get up 2-0 just to see what happens after that.
Yes. Now, then the buzz gonna be going crazy.
To MJ's point, like we've all said this, don't worry. A series doesn't get interesting until somebody's down 2 games instead of 1. If Houston steals the second one, we might be having a different conversation. But the minute this thing gets 1-1, I tell you like that, I put it out there. If Houston doesn't win game 2, they definitely don't win this. They have 0 chance of winning the series.
Absolutely.
They have to get up 2-0. If they don't get up 2-0, it's a wrap. If they up 2-0, we might be having a slight discussion at that point.
And to be real, I still will stay pat. I get what you say. I will still stay pat because this is what a lot of people haven't seen in that game 1. While everybody, analyze the winner, I usually analyze the loser and how they lost. So this is what I'm seeing. Anthony Davis was not aggressive and PJ Tucker still had 5 fouls.
Anthony Davis is going to be involved in everything.
So he had 5 fouls and Anthony Davis wasn't even in his bag. Anthony Davis was still settling for shots. So that's one thing. Second thing, James Harden was guarding either JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard.
Hey, that fool was guarding Anthony Davis too.
And so James Harden is going to be your defensive 4. Listen, let me explain something to y'all. All right. So just from a defensive standpoint, I'm gonna tell you why Houston defense is working, and I'm gonna tell you why it's not going to be sustained. Cool. So Houston defense is working because the person who has the lowest center of gravity is always going to have the advantage. Trav used to be an incredible defensive player. He probably still is at his age. How tall are you, Trav?
5'10",
Would you rather guard a 5'8" guy or a 6'5" guy?
6'5",
Why?
because I'm stronger on my lower center of gravity, and he's weak.
So you can get underneath him and you have a strong base to where if he's standing straight up, there's no way he could get lower than you because he doesn't have the room to move. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That sounds just like what PJ Tucker was doing to Anthony Davis, doesn't it?
And the main thing is I can push him and get away with it, and he get aggressive. I can take the charge.
Now, here's the counter to that. When a big dude decides, you know what, I'm not gonna play this game with you.
Finesse.
I'm not about to even play this game with you. You want to be physical? Okay, be physical. I'm gonna do this spin move and cut to the basket. Okay, you want to be physical while I have the ball? That's fine. I'm gonna pass and then I'm gonna cut. And I'm gonna reset and I'm gonna be underneath the basket to where they're gonna have to call this foul now. Or I'm gonna dunk on you because now I'm at the rim. So I don't need to, get to the rim. I'm here already. There's nothing you can do once I do this. Anthony Davis is a good enough player and a smart enough player because I've seen him do it too many times to just dominate the paint by catching alley-oops, by catching tip dunks, by passing, cutting, and resetting, and being underneath the basket. I've seen it happen too many times. And as far as LeBron goes, LeBron is the same thing, except for he's not going to – he could be in the post if he wanted. We've seen LeBron in the post. It could get real tragic for a lot of people when LeBron decides, you know what? I'm just going to kill y'all in this mid-range. We've seen it happen too many times. So I think we're going to get a steady diet of that too. LeBron going to just go – because right now you got Eric Gordon guarding him. Or Russell Westbrook. Either Eric Gordon or Russell Westbrook is guarding LeBron right now.
And you seen what happened to Russell Westbrook.
He got caught in the wrong place, wrong time. Like,
hey,
it was just, yeah.
We and got
Hart.
No, I was just about to say that. Josh Hart, do not try to take the distraction of you eating a lot of planters that day. You ate a lot of planters that day. I'm talking about the peanut man with the cane with the one glass. One of those.
Man, that's a horrible place to be at.
Hey, we got 5 more minutes.
Okay, cool.
This last series should take five minutes
or less.
Clippers, Denver. Game 1 went as expected. Jokic again has the clear advantage, but his style of pace of game against this Clipper team, it's not gonna work, especially on the defensive end, because his defensive rotations ain't cutting it. Offensively, he's gonna do what he do. Murray has 4 bodies that's gonna be touching him. He's gonna see Claw, he's gonna see PG, he's gonna see Marcus Morris Sr., and he's gonna see Pat Beverly. 4 guys.
Wow, having to see Montrezl Harrell in the paint. Or Zubac.
The main 4 he's going to see, but then them guys gonna step up if you were to get past one of them. So, me personally, Kawhi is being Kawhi. He's gonna average 29 to 32 a game.
Labyrinth repeat.
PG has gotten out of their place. He's gonna get you their study diet to 19 to 25 a game. Marcus Morris Sr. has a shot perfect for the angle 3-pointer. His shot is like picture perfect for that. Yes, it's straightforward right there at the angles. It's going just like that. It's perfect. He's picture perfect for that. And for those guys to come together and they put up like 80-some points and they bench had 40, there's nothing you can do about that. Big Shot, talk to me about this series, man. Give me
Let me
a
try to
summary
get
of it.
this off before the phone dies.
Yes.
I think the Clippers have just kind of found their legs. I think they had a lot going on outside the bubble, and I think the Dallas series was the wake-up call. I would not be surprised if they got the brooms out on Denver. I think it's a team that's focused now. I think Doc might have got into them a little bit, and they're playing with a lot more force, a lot more tenacity. PG looks out of that funk. So I expect this will be done. We should be done with this by Wednesday. And we moving on to the Battle of LA. So with that, fellas, I'm a roll because I'm definitely about to die. Riding for dying for the cause. I'll talk to y'all.
All right, man. We get
All
that.
right, Big Shot. Be good.
Yeah, I said this earlier. I'm not going to change my stance on it. Denver right now doesn't have the mental toughness to be able to compete for a championship right now. They're very young. They have a lot of potential, but I don't think they understand how far they have to go mentally to be able to compete for a title against these grown men who've been in this league 7-8 years, thirsty for an opportunity. You got to think, this is the LA Clippers. Have they ever won anything? No.
Man, they on a ride that Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson and Lamar Odom wish they was on right now.
They
OBrien, Michael Candy, they wish they was on.
Livingston before he got hurt, like
Livingston before he got hurt.
Shoot, Blake, even Blake and CP3. But I don't think people understand how obsessed you have to be to win in the NBA. That's the one thing. You know, we talk about will. I didn't talk about will enough and how important that will is. Like
it's obsession. It's obsession.
Like, the Clippers, the reason what that to me stands out about the Clippers is they're willing to do the stuff that nobody else is willing to do. They're almost like the Cobra Kai of the NBA. They
sweep the leg. They gonna sweep the leg. They gonna sweep the leg.
Marcus Morris almost did. So
literally, literally, he did. They got 3 players that gonna sweep the leg.
And in the climate that we are right now in today's game of basketball, in which everything is just based on training, everything is based on skill set, everything is based on, you know, playing in an air-conditioned gym with a nice leather ball and the net is already on.
It comes to this right here.
And they playing against burnt biscuit. We shot on crates when we was younger, drinking out the water hose. They coming against that. And anytime you go against a team that's just straight hungry, they going against the team that had to write on their AAU shirt. The AAU team had to write on their shirts their number.
And here's the thing about that. They have the IQ also.
Yeah, they can hoop.
They have the IQ. It's cool to get it out the mud. But when you can get it out the mud with the IQ with it, that's dangerous.
But that's why I said mental toughness. See, too many times people confuse toughness with being hard. So that's why I got to say mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
And, you know, shouts out to Isaiah Thomas, my unofficial life coach, because he gives gems all the time. That's what he was talking about on his Bad Boy series. He was like, everybody was talking about how tough we were. No, we was just mentally tough. Mm-hmm. We could do all of those things and still execute our play. Other teams couldn't. They were fighting us, and now they're out the game completely.
Wow, because they wasn't mentally. They were trying to prove that they was tough. They wasn't trying to prove that they was mentally tough.
Mental toughness. Mental
difference.
Can I get bumped on this cut and still cut hard the next play? Mental toughness. When I go to the basket, I get raked really hard, or I get my shot beaten. The dude called me a BAN. Can I go back to the hole and be like, all right, this is gonna be a long day for you, big fella? Everybody can't. And as of right now, their team is just not young enough to understand that. Jamal Murray's hard in the right place, and he will get better. Jokic is who he is, the way he plays. You know, Gary Harris wants the smoke, but, you know, talent-wise, it's like you have guys on that Clipper bench that is just as good as Gary Harris, and we ain't even talking about the guys we just mentioned. Mm-hmm. So you look at all of that. Now you left with these young dudes who can do special things, but they just not ready yet. They cubs. They puppies. Michael Porter Jr. is not ready for this smoke yet. It's okay.
And I like Michael Porter Jr. I like him. He just ain't ready.
He got through in this fire. He's getting baptized in it. So we're going to see what he does next year. But that's the part of that process too. See, everything goes back full circle.
You got to get beat like that. You got to get beat like that.
Go through this process in this game. Every time you show up in this game, this is the reason why I love basketball so much. At any given moment, you can get humbled. When you first play to when you last play, you can get humbled. And it's always a different challenge. When you get older, now you got to deal with them young legs and deal with all of the athletic ability that you used to have that you just don't have no more. You only have it in spurts. Now you got to deal with that. When you're in your prime, you pretty much chasing, your own greatness in addition to managing what other people think you should be and having the mental capacity to not get mentally exhausted with the process. You have to win, what, you got to win, 16 games in the postseason?
16.
And you play 82 in the regular season? And you want to be a dynasty? You got to do that 3 to 4 times. Do you know the mental exhaustion that comes along with that? The physical exhaustion? See, when I talk about this will, I don't think y'all really could understand. Like, I had one of the kids that I trained, he learned how to be a number one option whenever, big fella, could move his feet or whatever. He played, he had a lot of points. They started fouling him because they couldn't stop him. And he was missing free throws. And I asked him, why did you miss the free throw? He said, I was tired. I'm like, you tired? Okay. I like, now imagine what LeBron goes through. I was like, imagine what Kawhi got to go through. Because they had those same responsibilities and they got to hit the free throw and they got to do it 82 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need for people to really grasp and understand how hard this really is.
It's easy to talk about it when you on that couch. It's easy to talk about it when you on that couch.
And in the playoffs, you can't just analyze your way through this.
Right.
This not analytical about the playoffs. This all this and this.
That's all
it's
it is.
All those two things. And if you don't got a coaching staff that can at least do this for you at times where you focus in on this, and he can't help you out on this part, he can't make no adjustments for you, you still ain't gonna get there. No matter how smart you are, how much heart you have. LeBron probably had one of the best IQs that we've ever seen in this game. 2009, his coach wouldn't adjust. They lost the 6 to the Magic, even though they won 65 games.
Mm-hmm.
You need all of this skill, will, IQ, from top to bottom.
Closing thoughts. Closing thoughts for me is relatively simple. What you got to understand is 2 things. What I talked about, the skill, will, and the IQ, those are players that are destined for greatness. That is 1% of the NBA. The other 99%, you have to decipher whether or not they want to win or they just want to be with a winner. It's a big difference. It's a lot of people that say they want to win, but they're not going to get in them trenches with you. It's a lot of people who would rather just be a part of a winner. And that's just in life in general. So in your life right now, what's your life like? In your life right now, start to see who's in your life that wants to be a part of the victory, or who's in your life that just wanted to say that they next to a winner. Because this winning thing, it ain't easy. And once you actually win, you got to do it again. And then you got to be even better than what you were when you first won. Because now you got to block all the other people that's trying to get your spot. Which means you got to work twice as hard to stay up there. Let's not judge these players while they go through their process too heavily. Right.
Just because it looks simple, just because even when we break the game down on what could be done, things that they need to do, it's real easy to say that while we are able to watch it, rewind it, and see the highlights and break it down. When you in a fight, though, and you get punched in your face, Are you really thinking slip the jab? Are you really thinking I should do this and, counter? No, you thinking this dude just hit me in my face and it hurt it. I don't want to get hit in my face no more.
Right.
So you do this. Now he hits you in your body. You like, oh, this dude hit me in my body. I don't want to get hit in my body no more. So now you thinking about the punch and you thinking about the pain and you thinking about what's going on right now. And eventually you're either going to swing, but you're swinging without purpose. You're going to fold, or you're going to have the mental toughness to gather yourself and get back and execute your game plan.
Hey, man, this is why we are 94 feet of life. That's all it is to it. When it comes to playoff basketball, it's all about 94 feet of life, man. This is 94 feet of life, brought to you by the Scene. 94 feet of life again, Ball U Academy. Get in our group, 94 feet of life. Facebook. We all here, man. We all here. On that note, man, we out.